Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about graphing linear functions that are in point-slope form as well as standard form. So point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m, parentheses x minus x1. So m, from the last video we learned that stands for slope, and here it stands for the same thing, it still stands for slope. The only thing that's different between point-slope form and the form we did last time is that now we're given a point to have. So our point is going to be x1, y1. So the numbers that are next to the x and the y, they're going to be our point. So let's say we have y minus 3 equals 2/3, parentheses x plus 2. So we're going to try to find m, and we're going to try to find our point. So m is going to be the number in front of the parentheses. In this case, it's 2/3. We're going to bring it down. Our point is going to be the numbers next to x and y. But when you bring it down, you have to make sure you change the signs. So right here, you have a positive 2. When you take it down as your x value, you're going to have negative 2. Same with the y. You have negative 3 here. When you take it down, it's going to be positive 3. The reason it works like that is if you look at your point-slope form, with the x, you have x minus x1. So we'll do the same thing here. X minus some number, close your parentheses. So we're trying to figure out what number that goes in this blank that can make this a positive 2. So you would have to have a negative 2 here. That way, when you have a negative and a minus next to each other, you get a positive 2. So negative 2 is the number that comes down here. Same thing with the y. Y minus y1. In this case, the y1 has to be a positive 3 for this to remain a negative down at the bottom. So y minus y1, which is positive 3. So we have a point, negative 2, 3. We'll draw our graph. So our y-axis is still the vertical one. X-axis is always going to be the horizontal one. When you graph this, you always want to start at your point. So your point is negative 2, 3. So you're going to go over to negative 2, go up to 3, and that's the blue dot that's right here. From that blue dot, you want to apply the slope to it. So your slope is 2/3. That means you're going to rise 2, so count up 2 spots, and then run 3. Go to the right 3 spots, and put a dot there. Connect those dots, you got your line. Alright, next one. Y minus, or y plus 1 equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. So we're going to do two things again. We're going to find our slope. We're going to find our m. And then we're going to find our point. So slope is going to be the number that's directly in front of the parentheses, which in this case is negative 1/2. Our point is next to x and y. When we bring it down, we have to change the sign. So negative 2, comma, negative 1. So when you graph this, you want to start at your point, negative 2, negative 1, which is this blue dot that's right here. From that point, you want to apply the slope. Since your slope is negative, you're going to count down 1 spot and to the right 2 times. Right, so going down takes care of your negative sign, and then you have to go to the right. If you want to get to the third dot, you can go down 1 more and to the right 2 more times. Connect those dots, and you got your line. All right, 1 more. So y equals 2, parentheses, x minus 1. We'll find our slope, and we'll find our point. So slope is going to be the number that's directly in front of the parentheses. So in front of the parentheses, you have a 2. We need that to be a fraction. We'll make it 2 over 1. Our point is going to be the numbers that are next to x and y. When you take it down, you're going to change the sign. So it's going to be, instead of negative 1, which you have up here, when you bring it down, it's going to be positive 1, comma, 0. All right, so there's no number next to y. That makes it a 0. You have x minus 1 here. In order for this, in the original equation, to remain negative, you would have to have a positive 1 in that blank. So when we graph this, we're going to start at 1, 0. So 1, 0 is this purple dot that is right here. From this dot, we're going to go up 2 and right 1. Up 2, since it's positive, right 1. We can also go the opposite direction, which is down 2, left 1. Happens to be the same as the other dot. And then we can connect that to get our line. All right, so let's move on to the next type of form that we have, which is standard form. So standard form is ax plus by equals to c. A, b, and c have to be integers, so they can be positive or negative numbers, but you can't have any fractions or decimal. They have to be integers. So let's say we have 3x plus 4y equals 12. What we're going to do is take this function and graph that. So the easiest way to do this is to figure out the x-intercept and then the y-intercept. So to figure out the x-intercept, what you would do is you would plug in 0 in for y and solve for x. So instead of y, you put a 0 there. So the reason you do that is if you look at the graph, every x-intercept that you have, your y value is always going to be 0. So we're going to plug in 0 for y. So that's the same thing as pretending it's not even there, because 4 times 0 is 0. So we would have 3x equals 12. So therefore x equals to 4. So our x-intercept for this function right here is going to be 4. So we have to go back and find the y-intercept. So to do the y-intercept, you know your x value at any y-intercept is going to be 0. So you're going to replace your x value with 0, and we can go through and solve for y. So 3 times 0 is going to be 0, so you would have 4y equals to 12. Divide both sides by 4, so y equals to 3. We can go ahead and draw our graph. We have 2 dots. We know our x-intercept is at 4, so that means we're going to go across the 4 on the x-axis and put a dot. We know our y-intercept is going to be 3, so we're going to go up to 3 on the y-axis and put a dot. So make sure you label your axes so that way you don't get them confused. X always goes side to side, y goes vertically up and down. So knowing these 2 dots, we can connect them and we have our line. So again, if you look at your y-intercept, your x value for it is always going to be 0. So that's why we replace our x value with 0, and we can go ahead and solve for a y-intercept. And if we're trying to find the x-intercept, your y value is always going to be 0 at that point. So we plug in 0 into y and solve for x. Alright, so let's try a couple more. Let's say we have 6x minus 2y equals 18. So we're going to find the x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, you plug in 0 into y, and you go through and solve for x. So negative 2 times 0 is going to be 0. 6x equals 18. So therefore x has to be 3. Right, so 18 divided by 6 is 3. The y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 into x, and then go through and solve for y. 6 times 0 is going to be 0, so that goes away. From here, we divide both sides by negative 2, so y equals negative 9. So we'll draw our graph. We have our x-intercept at 3. So I'm counting each of these lines by 2 because I don't want to draw 9 lines. Or our x-intercept is going to be 3, so we're going to go to 3. So 2, 4, so 3 is in between 2 and 4, so that's right there. We're going to find negative 9, so negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10. So in between these 2 tick marks is going to be negative 9. Connect those 2 dots, you got your line. Alright, so we'll do 3 examples on this slide. So these 3 examples represent the 3 different forms that we've had. From the first video, we did slope-intercept form, so that's the first one. The middle one is going to be in standard form. You know that standard form because your x and y are on the same side and they're all integers. And our last one is going to be point-slope form. You can tell that's point-slope form because you have parentheses. So we'll start with the first one, y equals 2/3 x minus 1. We have to identify 2 things, our m, which is our slope, 2/3. Our b value, your y-intercept, is going to be negative 1. So when you graph this, you're going to have your dot your initial dot at -1 on the y-axis. So down here, you have your first dot. From that dot, you're going to count up 2 and to the right 3, and that'll be your second dot. If you want more dots, you can do the same thing again. You can count up 2 more from there and to the right 3. But 2 is sufficient to draw a straight line. The next one is in standard form, so we're going to have to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So the x-intercept, you're going to plug in 0 into y, so pretend that y value, the y number isn't even there, so you have 3x equals 6. So x equals 2. Your y-intercept, you're going to pretend that 3x is not there because 3 times 0 is 0, so that's gone. We're going to divide both sides by -2, so we have y-intercept being -3. So drawing our graph, we have 2 dots. We have a dot at 2 on the x-axis and another dot at -3 on the y-axis. We're going to connect them, and we got our line. The last one is in slope or point slope form. So you have our slope, which is going to be -1. It needs to be a fraction, so we're going to make that over 1. And our point is the number next to x and y. When we bring it down, we're going to change the sign. So we have -1, comma, +3. So then when we graph this, we have to start at a point. So our point being -1, 3. So -1, 3. So that's right there. From there, since our slope is -1 over 1, we count down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. Connect the dots, and that's our line. All right, so we'll do 3 more examples on this, and then we'll call it a video, a day. So if y'all want to pause it and try it, go for it. So our first equation, y equals x. That's in slope-intercept form. So our slope is going to be 1. Our y-intercept is going to be 0. We don't have a number by itself. So when we graph this, we start at the origin, and then we go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, connect it, you get your line. The second equation is in point slope form. Again, you know it's point slope form because you have parentheses with your linear function, with your linear equation. So we have our slope being 1/4. The number in front of the parentheses is always the slope. Our point is next to x and y. When we bring it down, change the sign. So -1, +5. Graphing that, we have a dot here at -1, 5. So from that dot, our slope is 1/4. That means we're going to go up 1 over 4. Or we can also go down 1 and to the left 4. It makes the same line, so we can connect that. The last one's in standard form. We have x and y on the same side of the equation, so that's how you know it's in standard form, and they're all integers. So our x-intercept, that's going to be 4. We plug in 0 into the y, divide both sides by -3, so therefore x equals 4. Same thing with the y-intercept, plug in 0 into the x, divide both sides by 4. -12 divided by 4 is -3. So when we graph this, we have 2 dots. A dot at 4 on the x-axis and a dot at -3 on the y-axis. Connect them and we got your line. All right, hope that helps. It's a little bit long, but it's okay. See you next time.